Hi. Um, so yeah, it's been 20 years since the September 11th attacks, which is really crazy. I can't believe it's been that long because I was alive when it happened. I was 15, a sophomore in high school, and it's definitely one of those moments that, like, you remember where you were when it happened. And I don't know, like, first of all, I can't believe it's been that long. And I was watching the documentary series on Netflix about it called Turning Point 9/11 and the War on Terror. I recommend you watch it, especially if you weren't alive when it happened or you were too young to remember, because I was watching it and, well, at least watch the first two episodes, but I was watching it and it just like brought back a lot of the feelings of that day. Even though I wasn't in New York when it happened, I was living in Arizona, but it was like crazy, surreal. I remember it was the first plane hit like 8:46, I think, in New York time. I was in Arizona. I was already up, so it was like 5 almost 6 in it. But my dad and I were the only ones that were awake. I was getting ready for school, and my dad and I were like the early birds in our family, so we were awake. And I just remember like walking into the living room and the news was on, and my dad was like showing me the image of the plane that was in the first tower, and I was like, what the frick? Like, it was just shock. And obviously, with the first plane, you're just like, it could be an accident, you don't know what's going on. It was just crazy. And then, I don't know how long it wasn't that long after, then the second plane hit, and we saw it like live, like as it was happening. Like, the second plane hit, and as soon, like, that was just, again, shocking too. And like, as soon as the second one hit, my dad was like, yeah, this was not an accident, this was like on purpose. And that's, all the government officials, that's what they said too, once the second one hit. And it was scary, I guess, because you're just like, and it's scary. And I obviously, I felt horrible watching that, and you just feel like helpless, because it's like, okay, what can I do? Like, I'm just a 15-year-old here all the way in Arizona. Like, what can I do to help? Like, you just feel bad. And then it just, the way I describe it is like, it felt like it was a movie, like, not in a good way, because oh my gosh, just because it felt so surreal. Like, first plane hit, then the second plane hit, and then freaking the one in the Pentagon, it's like, okay, so now another one crashed in another city, and then the other one in Pennsylvania, and you're just like, what is going on? Like, it seriously felt like a movie. And then the towers fell. Like, I just didn't feel real. Like, and that's why I recommend, like, for people to watch the series on Netflix, and just like look up stories from people, like survivors, first responders and stuff, because it's just like hi Paulina. The feeling of insecurity, yes. And okay, so Spike Lee's New York City Epicenters on HBO Max. Okay, so that's another one to watch. And then I remember like going to school, and I felt so weird. Like, I was sad, I was scared, like, now I have to go to school, like, what am I gonna do there? But in school, I remember, I guess yellow CT, we were there together. Like, in, I don't know if all the classes, I remember, like, especially my my awesome geometry teacher at the time, he had the news on. I think most of the classes we just had the news on, and we just kind of like talked about what's going on. It was just like scary, and I felt weird like just being in school. I'm like, I don't feel like I should be here. Like, I don't want to. It's just sad and scary. And then, you know, you're scared like what's gonna happen. I mean, I lived in a small town, so I didn't really think like, oh, they're gonna hit our small town. Like, but still, it's like, if you live in a big city, it's like, oh my god, okay, so they hit New York, Washington, and, you know, the one in Pennsylvania was supposedly like headed somewhere else, and, you know, it was, you know, the brave passengers on United 93 helped prevent it from hitting, like, their, you know, their heroes, obviously. And it was just scary because, like, people were like, oh, you know, there's one that's probably gonna hit LA, Miami, you know, all the big cities. But luckily, like, that didn't happen, but they did kind of like suspend air travel for a while. But yeah, I just can't believe it's been 20 years. Like, that's crazy. And I was watching some of the memorials and all the, like, today in New York, and the reading of the names, and I just remember, like, so, well, first of all, like, everyone, like, the younger people, in case you don't know, like, the reason you have to take your shoes off at the airport is because of this, so just blame the terrorists for that. But I remember I went to New York, like, 2 years after this, and I definitely felt like I went to the, at that time, like, the memorial wasn't, like, erected or anything like that, but I definitely felt, like, the sense of, like, community, from the people, and just, like, people were, like, they're, like, very helpful and stuff like that, so that was nice. But somebody on the news, they were saying that, like, now, like, we're going through this pandemic and it's, like, dividing the country instead of, like, bringing people together. But I think because they were saying, like, because at that time we had a foreign enemy, so when it's foreign, people will come together, but when it's like something domestic, people are just gonna, like, tear each other apart, which is sad. Like, why can't we always come together? But yeah, I recommend just watch at least the first 2 episodes of that Netflix documentary. Like, I was watching it, like, because I usually only get to watch things when I'm on the treadmill, so I was just watching it, and, like, I'm, like, crying. Like, I'm on the treadmill just, like, crying. Just hearing people's stories and stuff like that, and just hearing the phone calls. That's why I think that's why I also recommend it too. You get to hear some people's phone calls, like, some of the passengers on the United 93 who were calling, like, oh, I just want to say, like, I love you, like they knew they weren't gonna make it, like, and then, you know, the air traffic controllers, you know, like, realizing, like, this is actually, like, oh, this is not a drill, like, this is an actual, like, hijacking. Seeing the footage of the people running away when the buildings collapsed, and just how scared they were, like, imagine, like, my heart just, like, goes out to them and the families, and, like, just, I don't know, like, I just imagine. Sorry. I tend to do this. I just try to imagine myself, like, what if, you know, what it would feel like, you know, just being so scared. Like, I mean, I was scared in Arizona, but, like, the people who were actually there, working in the building, escaping, the ones that were trapped, and then the ones who just jumped out of the building because they didn't know what else to do. It's like they were way high up, and they're like, okay, we can't go down. It's either we're gonna fall down with this building or just burn. So they just jumped. Like, oh my gosh. Sorry. So yeah, just watch it. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not saying to, like, to make you sad, but I feel like people, like, if you're not, especially, oh my gosh, especially if you weren't alive when it happened or you were too young, I feel like it's important just to kind of know what they went through. Oh my And then I was watching, you know, like they're doing like a memorial today, and they were talking to a police officer, who, you know, he lost his colleagues, you know, several of his colleagues there. But then he was talking about how he lost his canine, like, I forgot the name, like, the dog that works with him, basically. And I didn't know. Like, I'm dumb. I don't know. I guess I should have figured out maybe some, you know, police dogs were lost, but I didn't know, and sorry. But yeah, it was just a really crazy, sad, scary day. I can't believe it's been 20 years. Like, what? Oh, sorry. Just please watch it, okay? And I just wanted to just, I guess, say some words about it. Not some eloquent speech. I'm not some like eloquent person, but just to give it some, I guess, time, so some words, because I feel it's, you know, it is something. It's a very important event in our history. Obviously, you know. After that, you know, our world changed. You know, the world was, you know, the countries. A lot of countries were, you know, were with America. You know, like, we're all Americans at that time, just because, yeah. And then air travel changed. It was scary to, like, fly. Like, I love traveling, I love flying, but, like, I remember, like, still feeling only a little bit scared. Even now, like, when I get on a plane, I still have just, like, a little bit of, like, oh, what if something happens? Like, I have a little bit of that in the back of my head, just, like, preparing, like, in case something happens on this flight. Like, just be prepared. Even though, like, I don't even know what I would do. I would hope I would be brave, but because of this, like, I don't know, I think about it, and, you know, obviously the war, and a lot of people who, you know, young people especially, who, like, signed up, they're like, I want to fight for our country, I want to get the people who did this to us, and I guess, you know, that's a whole other issue, especially, you know, now that we left Afghanistan after so long. Very, very long. Too long, I think. And I think that's about it. I don't know what else to say. I don't know, probably think of other stuff later, but I just wanted to, yeah, like I said, just kind of reflect a little bit on it. And again, educate yourself if you have not, like, if you were too young to, or you weren't born when this happened, just look up stories from firefighters, police, survivors. I know it's hard, but I just feel like it's important, and just to remember the lives, you know, that were lost, how it felt, imagine how it felt, like, if you weren't there. Like, obviously I wasn't there, I wasn't in New York, I was just seeing things happening from Arizona, but just, you know, watching the documentary and, like, just seeing the footage of the people running away. And I mean, I had already seen that when it was happening, but just seeing it again after not seeing it for so long, it was just like, yeah, it was just really sad. And then hearing stories of people, like, you know, in the Pentagon that were, you know, survivors there, you know, and how they had to leave people behind because they were dead. Like, they were trying to save them, but they couldn't find them. So sorry, I have some sad music playing. But thanks for watching. If you did, check out also the one Yellow CT recommended, the ones on HBO Max by Spike Lee, NYC epicenters, and most classes had the TVs on. Yeah, because we went to high school together. And United 93 was headed to the Capitol building. Yeah, I heard that. That's why, you know, those passengers are heroes, and they made sure that the plane went down in the field, so there weren't other casualties. But I mean, just imagine like how scary that is. That's one of my fears. Like flying. I still fly, but I still think about it every time I get on a plane. Cause like I said, I hope I would be brave. But you never know. Hopefully it doesn't happen again to anybody. And no, yeah, never mind. I was gonna say something else, but never mind. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day and whatever you're doing. Alright. Well, of course, never forget. Bye. Let's see if I can turn this off.